Hi guys, it's B again, and today is a viewer voted video. Usually I'll take comments and ideas anyone suggests on YouTube or on my other social medias, but in this case, because my viewer base is small and I don't have those suggestions yet, I decided to ask some friends for ideas and then put it to a vote on Twitter. The idea was that the suggestion with the most votes would be the one that I'd draw for the video, but the poll kind of ended in a draw. So we're gonna do something a little bit different. We're gonna combine the winning ideas. The winning ideas being Mew and a randomly generated Pokemon with a random type. So, an easy way to combine those is to have Mew with a randomly generated type, which I thought could be a pretty fun thing to do. So I've brought up a website here on my phone that can generate random choices from a list. So what I've gone and done is I've typed in all the Pokemon types. I've taken out Psychic because I don't really want to have a Psychic Mew because I feel like it's going to be more fun to try something different. It'll be more of a challenge. It's going to be a bit boring if I get the original type. But I've also added none as an option, and why that is because what I'm going to do is this list is going to randomly shuffle all these types into a list, and whichever two are at the top are the ones I'll go with. So it's most likely going to be a dual type Mew, but if I get none as an option, that means it'll just be a mono type because I'll just use the other type. So we're going to go ahead and generate one here, so whatever comes to the top, the first two options are the ones we get. We've got normal and dragon. That's interesting. Well, let's get into it and see what we can create. The first thing I did was look at all the dragon and normal type Pokemon and then make a list of all the features that I'd see in each of them. While I was doing this, I made some rough sketches of Mew and tried different features on it to see what it would look like. Once I had a good idea of what I wanted, I closed all my references for all the Pokemon besides Mew. The reason I did this was because I wanted to have inspiration from other Pokemon, but I didn't want to copy any, so I didn't want the references open while I was drawing the finished picture. Of course, I kept open a reference of Mew because obviously this is supposed to be a Mew, so I kept that one open. You might think that it was easy to do a normal dragon because normal types are just normal, but honestly you do need to have some features to define normal types, so I did make a list of some of them. It was a bit difficult because honestly a lot of the features that normal types had would conflict things that dragon types had, but I think I got a good balance in the end and I was really happy with it myself. One of the things you'll see me changing a lot is the tail. Even though I'd pretty much decided on the entire design by the time I started the finished piece, I just couldn't decide on the tail. I wanted it to be long at first, but then in the end I ended up going for a shorter, stubbier tail, which is something you'd see among a lot of the young and baby dragon types. I also added a little curl to the tail because that's something you often see in normal types, and I thought that was a quite cute thing to finish it off. Other features of normal types that I noticed were that a lot of them tend to have quite natural colours compared to other Pokemon, whereas most Pokemon will be coloured on their type. Normal types tend to be browns, greys, and other just normal colours. I mean, they are normal types. I considered a few different colours, but I really liked the idea of having it in grey. I thought it was quite cute that way. Another thing I noticed about normal types is they tend to just be regular animals. They are stylized and sometimes have certain things missing, like Meowth doesn't have its nose and such. But there are a lot of normal types I'd say if you drew them realistically, they just look like regular animals. With that in mind, I tried to make Mew a lot more cat-like, so I gave it proper ears, I gave it little whiskers. I even tried to give it sort of fur, which is also a bit like spikes, which worked well for the dragon typing as well. That was one of the parts in particular that worked well as both a normal and a dragon type. Other than the little spikes going down the back, another thing I thought worked well for dragon typing was the little teeth, which I added. I also made the smaller whiskers a bit more like tiny spikes on the side of the face, which worked well as a dragon type, kind of like Rayquaza has a little horn things out of its face, something along those lines, but a bit cuter and smaller. One issue I had with trying to combine these types is that dragon types tend to be very vibrant colours, and because I wanted to use the natural colours, this was a bit of an issue. In the end, I decided that I'd keep most of the body in natural colours, but I'd use the bright vibrant colours for the eyes, the ears, and the thing on the head. I used pink and blue to reflect Mew's original colours, but I made them a lot more vivid for the dragon typing, since a lot of dragons tend to be quite vivid colours, as well as most Pokemon, to be honest. It tends to be normal types that are not so vivid. I gave it stubby little legs, which I thought matched the tail well and worked well with the idea of a little baby dragon. Although in retrospect, I would have changed the angle slightly so that it looked like it was walking instead of floating. Although it would have looked like it was floating anyway because I didn't do a scenic background, so it would still look like it's floating. To finish it off, I wanted to add a symbol on its head. I felt like it would have been cool to maybe have Mew written down its head in Japanese, but I thought it was a little bit too much, and that's not really something you see in Pokemon. They tend to be very simplified. So I had the idea, since Mew is, as far as the lore goes, Mew is supposed to be the first Pokemon, or maybe Arceus is, who knows. But with that in mind, I thought it'd be cool to have the Japanese symbol for one, which it turns out is just a straight line, so that was what I put on its head. Maybe it's a bit too basic because a straight line could mean anything, but I do think it kind of finishes off the design well, and it also makes this version of Mew look like a little money box, which I think is really adorable. I decided to go for just a simple background on this picture since the main focus is the character. I decided to draw Ancient Mew, but I kept it very simple because I wanted my Dragon Normal Mew to be the main focus of this picture. I really like that contrast of having a character with very defined line art and then having a nice messy background. I finished off with some white dots. This is something I commonly do in my style. I just like using the white pen to just add a little bit more interest to the picture, I guess. And with that, this picture is done. I'm really pleased with how this picture came out, and I'm looking forward to doing more things like this in the future. As I said in the beginning, this is the voted video, so if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see me draw next time, then just leave your suggestions in the comments, and be sure to go over to Twitter if you'd like to vote on what gets chosen for the final video. Thanks again for watching, I hope to see you again next week, and always triple save.